The breath of stone. What Egypt has not yet told us. Chapter 1. The Black Land.
The Egyptians did not call their country Egypt. They called it Kemet, the Black Land, named for the dark silt the Nile left behind each year. Beyond it lay Deshret, the Red Land. The border between life and death was a single step. Once a year, the river rose and drowned the fields. This flood was not a disaster, it was the harvest. Priests measured it in stone staircases called nilometers because the height of the water decided the taxes of the entire kingdom. Egyptian civilization lasted more than 3,000 years. When Tutankhamun was buried, the Great Pyramid was already older to him than the Roman Empire is to us. Even the Egyptians visited their own ruins as tourists. Inside a chapel at Saqqara, visitors from the New Kingdom left graffiti praising a monument already 1,000 years old. One wrote that he found it as if heaven were within it. He was a tourist, admiring an antiquity. We picture them as bare stone. They were not. The pyramids were sheathed in polished white limestone, so smooth and bright they could be seen from far across the desert. Over centuries, the casing was stripped away to build Cairo. Only one patch survives, clinging to the summit of Khafre's pyramid, far above the reach of quarrymen. Look closely, that is the true surface of a pyramid, and almost no camera lingers on it.
Chapter 2. The Builders.
In 1990, a horse stumbled into a hidden tomb near the pyramids. Inside lay not slaves, but workers, buried with honor, in the shadow of the monument they had built. Their bones show healed fractures treated by physicians. They were paid in bread and beer, and fed on cattle brought from the delta. This was not slavery. It was the largest organized workforce of the ancient world, and it ate well. In 2013, on the shore of the Red Sea, archaeologists found the oldest inscribed papyri on Earth. They are the logbook of a boat captain named Merer, who ferried limestone to Giza. He wrote about it as we write a work diary. Wadi al-Jarf is the oldest harbor in the world, 4,500 years old. Its storage galleries were sealed with limestone blocks and forgotten. Almost no documentary has ever filmed here. How the stones moved is no mystery. A wall painting shows water being poured before a sled, reducing friction by half. Ramps, sleds, ropes, and tens of thousands of organized hands. No magic was needed, only administration. Not every pyramid stood. At Meidum, the outer casing collapsed, leaving a strange tower rising from a mountain of its own rubble. It is one of the loneliest monuments in Egypt. At Dashur, the bent pyramid changes angle halfway up. The builders lost their nerve as cracks appeared. Inside, cedar beams still braced the chamber, cut from trees felled 46 centuries ago. North of Giza stood the pyramid of Djedefre, quarried away almost to nothing by the Romans. What remains is a vast shaft cut into bedrock. Tourists never come here, the wind does.
Chapter 3. The Chambers No One Has Seen.
Deep below the Great Pyramid, cut into living rock, lies a chamber almost no visitor sees. It was never finished, its floor is broken, and a shaft descends into nothing. Why it was abandoned, no one knows. From the Queen's chamber, 2 shafts run upward, 20 centimeters wide. Too narrow for a body, too precise to be accidental. For 4,000 years, nothing passed through them. In 1993, a small robot crawled up one shaft and stopped before a limestone slab, fitted with 2 copper pins. In 2011, a second robot drilled through and looked behind it. It found a small space, and hieroglyphic marks in red ochre. The marks are ordinary, probably a mason's tally, scrawled by a worker who assumed no one would ever read them. He was wrong by 4,500 years. Behind that slab lies another. It has never been opened. In 2017, physicists scanned the pyramid using muons, particles born when cosmic rays strike our atmosphere. They found something no one expected, a void at least 30 meters long, above the Grand Gallery. It has no known entrance. We do not know what it is. A relieving chamber, a construction void, or a room. No human eye has seen inside it. It sits sealed in solid rock, a few dozen meters above the heads of the tourists below.
And then there is Zawiya Talarian, an immense unfinished shaft containing an oval sarcophagus of polished granite. It still well, and since the 1960s, the site has lain inside a military zone. No workmen has worked there and over have already drained.
Chapter 4. Beneath the Sand.
At Saqqara, beneath the sand, a doorway opens into darkness. Behind it runs a tunnel 350 meters long, carved through solid rock. It is called the Serapeum. Set into the walls are 24 sarcophagi of granite and greywack. Each weighs between 70 and 80 tons. Each was cut, polished, hauled hundreds of kilometers, and lowered into a niche it barely fits. They were not built for kings. They held the mummies of the Apis bulls, animals worshipped as the living voice of the god Ptah. An entire nation moved 80 tons of stone to bury a bull. The interiors are flat and square to a degree that still unsettles engineers. This does not mean lost technology, it means generations of craftsmen, with copper, sand, and unimaginable patience. Behind the temple of Seti I at Abydos lies a structure that seems out of place, the Osirian, built of colossal, unadorned blocks. Groundwater has flooded it, its floor has not been seen for generations. The water was intentional. It surrounded a central island, an image of the primeval mound rising from chaos and of the tomb of Osiris himself, symbolic architecture, drowned by the very element it was designed to hold. Above a doorway at Abydos, tourists photograph what they call a helicopter and a submarine. The truth is stranger and duller. Rameses II carved his titles over those of Seti. The plaster fell away. Two texts now overlap. It is a palimpsest, not a prophecy.
Chapter 5. The Words of the Gods.
The Egyptians called their writing Medu Necher, the words of the gods. It was never mere decoration. Every sign on every wall was read, and every wall was meant to be read aloud. A hieroglyph can do three things. It can show a thing. A picture of a house means house. It can spell a sound, like a letter, or it can be silent, telling the reader what kind of word came before. Most signs do more than one job. The silent signs are called determinatives, and they are the most beautiful idea in the script. Write a word, then draw a small picture that is never spoken. It simply tells you the word is about weeping, or walking, or death. There is no fixed direction. Hieroglyphs run left, right, or downward. To know which, look at the faces. The birds and the people always look towards the beginning of the line. You read into their gaze. That oval ring is a cartouche. It is a rope, tied at one end, a knot without beginning or end, encircling the king's name to protect it for eternity. When you see a cartouche, you are looking at a royal name. Three signs appear everywhere. The ankh, a looped cross, means life. The jed pillar with its stacked bars means stability. It may be the backbone of Osiris. And the wa scepter with its forked base means power. Here's a cartouche of Rameses. The sun disk is read Ra, the name of the god. Below it, a sign read Mes, meaning born. Then the folded cloth S, Ramesu. Ra has given him birth. You have just read a pharaoh's name. For 14 centuries, no one could read a single sign. Then, in 1799, soldiers found a broken slab bearing the same decree in 3 scripts. Greek could be read. Therefore, in theory, so could hieroglyphs. The key was not the stone alone. It was Coptic, the language of Egyptian Christians, the last living descendant of ancient Egyptian. Jean-François Champollion spoke it. In 1822, he saw that the signs spelled sounds, and the language spoke again. In the turquoise mines of Sinai, foreign workers scratched something new. They took Egyptian signs and used them until the stock's head became Aleph. Our letter A is an ox turned upside down. The alphabet was born in an Egyptian mine.
Chapter 6. The Village of the Craftsman.
Hidden in a desert valley lies Deir el-Medina, the village of the men who cut the royal tombs. Because they were literate, and because the desert preserves everything, we know their lives in extraordinary detail. Papyrus was expensive, so they wrote on rubbish, flakes of limestone and broken pottery. Tens of thousands survive, shopping lists, love poems, complaints, sick notes, a doctor's excuse for a workman absent because of a scorpion sting. In the 29th year of Rameses III, the rations did not arrive. The workmen walked off the tomb, sat down beside the mortuary temple, and refused to move until they were fed. It is the first recorded strike in human history. Egyptian women could own property, sign contracts, testify in court, and initiate divorce. In this, they held rights that women in Greece and Rome would not have, and that Europe would not restore for thousands of years. Behind the temples stood the House of Life, library, scriptorium, and school. Here, medical papyri described the brain, the pulse, and the treatment of fractures. Egyptian physicians were sent for by foreign kings. At death, the heart was weighed against a single feather, Mot, the feather of truth, not against gold or deeds or prayers, against a feather. If the heart was heavy with wrong, it was devoured, and the person ceased to exist.
Chapter 7. The Forbidden Tombs.
The tomb of Seti I plunges over 100 meters into the Theban hills. Its walls are the finest ever carved. For decades it was closed to protect it, and even now it is rarely filmed in full. Beneath the burial chamber, a secret tunnel drives further down into the rock. Excavated for over 100 meters, it simply stops, unfinished. Where it was going and why remains unknown. The tomb of Nefertari is perhaps the most beautiful painted space of the ancient world. To preserve it, visitors are admitted in small groups, for 10 minutes. Most people will never see it, except like this. In 1995, a tomb dismissed as insignificant was reopened. Corridor after corridor, chamber after chamber. KV5 has more than 130 rooms, the largest tomb ever found in Egypt, built for the sons of Rameses II. Rameses II reigned for 66 years and outlived most of his children. KV5 may hold as many as 50 of his sons. Their names are still being recovered from the walls, one broken fragment at a time. In this ordinary shaft in 1881, priests' descendants revealed a hidden chamber. Inside lay the mummies of Egypt's greatest kings, Rameses, Thutmose, Seti, hidden together 3,000 years ago to save them from robbers.
Chapter 8. The Erased.
Hatshepsut ruled as pharaoh for 2 decades, in peace and prosperity. Then, long after her death, her images were smashed. her name chiseled from the walls, her monuments claimed by others. To an Egyptian, this was not vandalism, it was execution. A name spoken was a soul alive. Erase the name, and the person ceases to exist for eternity. The empty cartouches on these walls are graves. Then came Akhenaten, who abolished the gods and worshipped one alone, the sun disk, Aten. Art changed with him, bodies stretched, faces grew strange. No one fully knows why. He built a new capital in the desert for perhaps 50,000 people. Within a generation of his death, it was abandoned, quarried, and struck from the king lists. Today, Amarna is a plain of foundations, and almost no one visits. In a sculptor's workshop at Amarna, archaeologists found plaster study heads and a painted bust of Nefertiti. Her left eye is inlaid, her right eye was never finished. It was a model, not a masterpiece, and it became the most famous face of the ancient world.
Chapter 9. The Last Inscription.
On the island of Philae, on the 24th of August in the year 394, a priest named Esmedakam carved a short prayer. It is the last hieroglyphic inscription ever written. After it, silence for 1400 years. In the granite quarry at Aswan lies an obelisk that was never freed. Had it risen, it would have stood 42 meters tall and weighed over 1,000 tons. A crack appeared, and the workers walked away, leaving their tool marks in the stone. Less than a third of ancient Egypt has been excavated. Beneath the fields and the modern cities lie temples, archives, and tombs we have not touched. Every year, the sand gives back something no one predicted. The Egyptians believed that to speak a name was to grant it life. 4,500 years later, we still say Khufu, we still say Nefertiti. Their walls ask to be read aloud, and we are still reading.
Thank you for watching.